I will start this video with a statement that might sound absurd to you. Failure begins in bed. Yes, not in the market, not because of a lack of money, and not because of a crisis. It begins the moment you open your eyes and accept small, limited thoughts as your companions. Because the first victory of the day does not happen in the outside world. It happens within your mind. Failure, in most cases, does not come from a lack of effort, but from a lack of direction. People walk in circles because they wake up without a clear purpose. I call this definiteness of purpose, a defined purpose. Burning desire, unwavering faith, and persistent action, these are the three pillars of success. But it is not enough to wake up and just repeat beautiful phrases. You must act in alignment with what you declare. Remember, your first victory will never be financial, social, or professional. Your first victory is spiritual, and it begins the moment you awaken. Tomorrow, when you wake up, do not allow the world to set the tone of your day. Take control. Declare your purpose. Win the internal battle, and turn faith into action. Because those who win inside will never be defeated outside. I have always affirmed that humans become what they think about most of the time, which is why I insist that the first few minutes of the morning are decisive. When you open your eyes, you may unknowingly determine whether you will have a day of victories or defeats. Think with me. How many times have you woken up and the first thing you did was grab your phone, dive into negative news, comparisons on social media, or messages that sparked anxiety? Have you noticed how, even before breakfast, you were already low on energy, with a heavy mind and a racing heart? This is no coincidence. It is the direct effect of the thoughts you fed immediately upon waking. Your brain, at this moment, is in a special state, known by science as alpha and theta waves, states in which the mind is more susceptible to influence and more open to programming. In other words, in the first minutes of your day, you are like fertile soil waiting for seeds. Every word, thought, and emotion you choose to cultivate early in the day becomes invisible seeds that, throughout the day, sprout into actions, choices, and even opportunities. If you plant gratitude, courage, and faith, that is what will flourish. But if you plant doubt, fear, and haste, the inevitable fruit will be chaos, stress, and stagnation. And here is a point few understand. The first victory of the day is not in the money that enters your account, nor in the good news that comes from outside. The first victory happens within you. It is internal, silent, and at the same time decisive. When you consciously choose your first thoughts, you take control of something that most people leave to chance. How many times have you felt like you were even late to breathe, running after tasks without stopping to align with what really matters? I have experienced this too. There were days when, even surrounded by opportunities, in the company of great businessmen and influential political leaders, I felt defeated before even leaving the bed. I painfully realized that the external world was not against me. I was the one allowing my mind to be an open field for defeat. When I changed my first thoughts of the day, everything changed. Instead of waking up already overwhelmed, I began to awaken choosing clearly. Today, I decide to win within myself. This decision, repeated daily, gave me strength to move forward when everyone around me expected me to give up. And I ask you, are you aware of your first thoughts upon waking? Are they of hope or of worry? Do they program you to thrive or just to survive? Statistics show that more than 70% of people, upon opening their eyes, immediately connect with negative news, and this explains why so many live tired, anxious, and without energy to pursue their own dreams. The problem is not just the overload of information, but the quality of the information you allow into your mind at the most vulnerable moment of your day. If you want to start transforming your life, begin by transforming this moment. Instead of diving into distractions, close your eyes for a minute, take a deep breath, be grateful for being alive, and declare firmly, "Today is a new day, and I decide to win it." Do this sincerely, not as an automatic repetition, but as someone planting golden seeds in fertile soil. This practice, which may seem small, changes the state of your body, reorganizes your emotions, and strengthens your mind. I am not asking you to believe my words blindly. Science proves that positive affirmations and gratitude practices reduce cortisol levels, the stress hormone, and increase mental clarity. This is not mysticism, but biology. Your mind is the soil in which your financial, emotional, and spiritual reality will grow. What you plant in the first minutes after waking is what will sustain or weaken you over the next 24 hours. Tomorrow, when you open your eyes, remember this moment. Remember that you have two choices: to surrender your mind to chaos, fear, and distractions, or to consciously decide to plant gratitude, courage, and faith. The choice may seem small, but it will set the tone of your day, and repeated consistently, it will determine the course of your entire life. Because, as I discovered in practice, those who win inside will never be defeated outside. Failure, in most cases, does not happen due to lack of talent or lack of effort. It happens because people wake up without direction, without clarity, without a defined goal that drives them forward. I have learned throughout my life that living without purpose is like rowing a boat without a compass. You may move, but you will never reach a clear destination. You expend energy, yet you go in circles, always returning to the same point. How many times have you felt exactly this way? Days when you worked hard, ran from one place to another, yet at the end felt as if you hadn't moved forward at all? This happens because you wake up merely to survive, not to fulfill a purpose. I call this principle definiteness of purpose. It is the habit of waking up already knowing where you want to go, and more than that, aligning every thought, every action, every daily decision with this larger objective. When you wake up without clarity, any distraction has power over you. Any problem becomes a giant. But when you wake knowing who you are and where you are going, even obstacles turn into steps that push you upward. I remember when I began interviewing highly successful men like Andrew Carnegie and Thomas Edison. None of them woke up by chance. Edison, for example, was not just a brilliant inventor. He had a daily routine filled with clarity. Every single day, he woke with only one obsession in mind: to find solutions, test ideas, and turn possibilities into reality. The electric light was not born from a stroke of luck, but from the daily repetition of a definite purpose. This is exactly where many people fail, not because they lack ability, but because they have no clarity about why they get out of bed each morning. Ask yourself, how many days have you woken without energy, dragging yourself through tasks you didn't even know had value? How many times has the feeling of emptiness taken over, even after a day full of activity? This does not happen due to lack of time, but due to lack of direction. And if you continue living like this, where exactly are you headed? If nothing changes, where will you be in 5 years? These questions are uncomfortable because they strike the core. A life without a definite purpose is a life condemned to mediocrity. Science confirms this as well. Studies from the University of Michigan show that people with clarity of purpose live longer, have lower levels of anxiety, and achieve financial results above the average. Clarity gives meaning to choices and reduces indecision, the greatest enemy of progress. When you know what you want, your mornings cease to be random and become strategic. But I want to share something personal. There was a period in my life when I had completely lost this clarity. I worked intensely, wrote non-stop, sought approval from important people, yet inside I was empty. I woke up tired, confused, as if nothing made sense. In that period, I painfully realized that effort without purpose is waste. I could only reverse this situation when I sat down with myself, looked at my life, and firmly declared, my mission is to reveal to the world the principles that enable any man or woman to achieve what they desire. This goal became the compass that sustained me through scarcity, criticism, and failure. And here is the curious thing. When you wake with purpose, even problems change form. They cease to be walls that block and become signs that guide. An obstacle, seen from within a clear purpose, becomes just another opportunity to prove to yourself that you are on the right path. That is why I say, a life without purpose is vulnerable to fear, comparison, and doubt. But a life with a definite purpose attracts courage, direction, and even unexpected resources. Tomorrow morning, when you wake, do not start the day reacting, start the day deciding. Ask yourself, what exactly do I want to build? What is the reason that justifies my effort today? Write it, declare it, visualize it. Make it so real that every step of your day is guided by this vision. And make it a habit. Do not wait for clarity to appear by chance, because it will not. Clarity is built, and it is built through the daily repetition of the decision to live with purpose. And remember, the first victory of the day is to wake knowing where you are going. Those who wake with clarity have already begun to win, because those with a strong why endure anyhow. Every morning, when you wake, an invisible war begins in your mind. It is a silent battle between the old self, accustomed to doubt, fear, and scarcity, and the new self, which wants to believe, expand, and prosper. Perhaps you have felt this. That voice whispering that today will be like yesterday, that nothing changes, that it's no use trying. This is the consciousness of failure manifesting, a mental program that prepares you to expect the worst before you even put your feet on the ground. How many times have you woken up without drive, looked at your schedule, and felt there was no reason to keep fighting? This is the most dangerous enemy because it does not come from outside. It is born within you. It is important to understand that this is no accident. The human mind is like a magnet. When you feed thoughts of failure in the morning, you condition your brain to seek problems, focus on what is lacking, and see scarcity instead of abundance. Neuroscience has already proven this. Repeated thought patterns shape neural connections that determine your worldview. If you wake every day expecting the worst, your mind adapts and creates filters that see only what confirms your negative belief. And when this happens, you may have opportunities right in front of you, but you cannot see them. I have seen this conflict ruin men of great talent. Nikola Tesla, for example, was a genius who dreamed of changing the world with his inventions. His ideas were so advanced that they changed the history of science. But Tesla did not win this inner war. He never knew how to manage his own beliefs about money, success, and recognition. He ended his days isolated, without resources, not because he lacked genius, but because he allowed the consciousness of failure to dominate him. This shows that intelligence, creativity, or even faith alone is not enough. If your mind is flooded with negative thoughts upon waking, you sabotage yourself before you even begin. I have faced this enemy as well. There were times when I woke completely defeated, with nothing in my pockets, not knowing how to provide for my family, feeling the weight of past failures. I could have surrendered to that voice that whispered nothing would ever change. But I learned that the only way to win this battle was to take control of my very first thoughts in the morning. It was far from easy. On days of greatest scarcity, it seemed almost impossible to believe that prosperity lay ahead. Yet it was precisely on those days that I chose, with discipline, to declare, "Today will be different. Today I choose to move forward." Gradually, this practice reprogrammed my spirit and mind. Perhaps you are experiencing something similar. Perhaps you wake up tired and discouraged, believing that things will not change. But I must tell you, that fatigue is not only physical, it reflects a mind trained to expect failure. The good news is, you can reverse it. Recent research at University College London has shown that, on average, a new habit can be consolidated in about 66 days of consistent repetition. This means that if you decide today to change your mental routine upon waking, you will soon build a new program capable of defeating old patterns of failure. Do not wait to feel motivated. Motivation is unstable. What you need is discipline. Even on days when everything feels too heavy, consciously choose a thought of victory. Repeat affirmations that strengthen your faith. Vividly visualize a scene of success. Imagine yourself already living what you desire. This is not fantasy. It is mental training. It is replacing the consciousness of failure with the consciousness of victory. Think for a moment. What if tomorrow you wake up and, instead of succumbing to the automatic thought, "It will be like yesterday," you declare, "Today I advance, today I prosper, today I build." How would that change the way you approach your tasks, the people around you, and even your challenges? I assure you, your energy would change, your perception would change, and consequently, your opportunities would change as well. Remember, the goal is not to completely eliminate negative thoughts. They will come because they are part of human nature. True victory is not letting them dominate. It is choosing, day after day, to replace doubt with faith, fear with courage, and scarcity with a vision of abundance. This battle happens within you every day, but each time you choose to win early in the morning, you create a pattern of victory that becomes increasingly natural. And when this happens, nothing and no one outside can stop you, because defeat no longer exists within you. Burning desire, unwavering faith, and persistent action. This is the tripod that supports every true achievement. Many people wake up with good intentions, repeat positive phrases, and even write goals in notebooks, but stop there. They live only from intention, and intention without action is like a boat without oars. It is on the water, but does not move. Waking up thinking like a champion requires more than beautiful words. It requires turning faith into concrete actions aligned with what you declare you believe. How many times have you promised yourself you would change, be disciplined, take the next step, but ended up giving in to old habits and letting time pass? This is not personal weakness. It is a lack of alignment between what you think and what you do. I have learned that the real difference is not just in believing but in acting as if you already possess what you desire. When you declare you will succeed but continue to act as if waiting for chance, you send a contradictory message not only to the world but to yourself. Your mind understands there is no real commitment. That is why so many personal promises die before they even become reality. Here is the key. Your faith must materialize in daily behaviors. You must rise and act as if the result you desire is already in progress. Science confirms this. Studies at University College London show that habits repeated at the same time of day are up to 80% more likely to stick. This means that the way you manage your morning routine is fertile ground to create habits that translate into tangible results. Waking early, praying, writing goals, visualizing achievements, practicing physical or intellectual discipline. This is not merely ritual, it is training. It signals to your brain that you are committed to what you have declared. I remember when I began working with Andrew Carnegie. I had no money, no influence, but I had discipline. He taught me that great men are not those who merely dream big, but those who rise every day and build, piece by piece, what they have dreamed. At that time, my persistent action was writing, interviewing, learning, often without knowing if I would ever be recognized. But it was this daily routine, this alignment between my faith and my actions, that opened the doors that changed my life. And see how this also applies to your reality. How many people do you know who say they want to improve their lives, but continue to spend more than they earn, keep complaining about their jobs instead of seeking opportunities, speak of faith, but do not take a single courageous step? It is like asking for prosperity, but acting daily towards scarcity. And perhaps you yourself have done this. What I want to tell you is, it is not enough to ask. You must prove with your actions that you are ready to receive. Imagine how your life would be if, starting tomorrow, you aligned every action with your declarations of faith. Imagine waking up, declaring victory, and immediately making small decisions that reinforce that declaration. Choose to study instead of getting distracted. Save instead of spending impulsively. Start that project instead of postponing it once more. Each consistent action strengthens in your mind the certainty that you are building something, and that certainty begins to generate visible results. I have personally seen men with less talent surpass geniuses simply because they acted consistently. Discipline beats fleeting inspiration, because inspiration can fade, but discipline remains. And this is what transforms faith into real prosperity. Faith that does not act as merely desire. Faith that rises, works, persists, and does not retreat is truly creative. Therefore, I challenge you. Choose a single habit, simple but powerful, and practice it every morning for the next 30 days. It could be writing your goals in a notebook, visualizing your goal for 5 minutes in silence, or making an early decision for financial discipline. The habit itself matters less than the consistency. This daily practice will create in you the conviction that you are in control, and that conviction is the seed of prosperity. Remember, it is not about waiting for things to improve before taking action. It is about acting now so that things begin to improve. It is about proving, through your daily steps, that you truly believe in what you declare. For those who only desire remain in intention, but those who decide to act have already begun transforming desire into reality. This is the mark of a true champion, not waiting for ideal conditions, but building ideal conditions from what you have at hand. And when faith and action come together, there is no limit to where you can go. The most important thing to remember is that your first victory never happens outside, but within you, at the moment you awaken and clearly decide what you will sow in your mind. This is the turning point, because those who win internally will never be defeated externally. Thank you for staying with me this far, and now I invite you to continue this journey. The next video is already appearing on your screen, and in it, you will climb another step in your evolution of wisdom, becoming 1% better than you are now. I will see you there.